Cooler weather means it's crunch time, and as we enter into the 8th game of the season, one of the few remaining undefeateds in the FCS comes in, hoping to continue on their inside track to a PFL title. Presbyterian 7-0. They've won 11 games straight dating back to last year. And they enter with the second longest winning streak active in the entire country against a Dayton Flyers team looking to rebound from their first in-conference loss at home to Butler last week. Alongside Josh Copeland, I'm Luke Westpoli. Thanks so much for being with us. Josh, a high-flying offense on one side for Presbyterian, and you were hoping that Dayton could match that efficiency on the other side. As this matchup saw a couple of quarterbacks coming in, you'd hope that could really build both of these teams' offense with maybe some sort of shootout. However, news for the Flyers is they are without Bryce Schondelmeyer due to injury. He missed part of the game last week, but Drew Van Fleet steps in as capable as any backup you'll find.
Yeah, Van Fleet, he's actually a really great backup coming in. He's not necessarily a backup, let's say that. He's seasoned, he's experienced, so he has full control of the offense, so we look forward to have a big game. But yeah, Presbyterian coming in, 40 points a game, so that's a high-powered offense. You know, University of Dayton's defense is going to have to step up and play big, but these are the kind of games you want, right? These are games you want to test your skill level against some of the best competition out there, and that's what this game is.
Yeah, for the Presbyterian Blue Hose under fourth-year head coach Steve Engelhardt, what a year it has been. A win on the line for them this week put them off to their best start in program history. They're 7-0, which ties their best start they've ever had. A dominant 42-7 win at home over Stetson last week. Blue Hose started the season off with a bang, a top 15 win on the road against Mercer, and they have ridden that momentum all the way through the Pioneer League slate.
Yeah, they're playing extremely well this year. I'm obviously continue from last year, with the 11-game winning streak. But look for Dayton to come back. You had a tough loss last week, so all week of practice, you know that this is a game that can see where you're at, right? These are sometimes you have a game that tests everything you want and everything you practice for comes down to kind of one game in the middle towards the end of the season. Just see where your guys are at and see if they're going to be the championship caliber that you know they are. So this is the game that's going to test every facet of Dayton's team, special teams, offense, and defense.
Presbyterian will receive the opening kickoff. And the kick is away, and we are underway. Zach Switzer, multi-tool return man, lets this one fly over his head. And Presbyterian gets set to start from the 25-yard line. Settle back and enjoy this one. Temperature is in the high 40s here in the Gem City as we move into late October. Presbyterian offense, Josh already said it, over 40 points a game. Best offense by scoring, by passing attack, by rushing attack in the Pioneer League. They can really do it all. And they come out led by quarterback Colin Hurst. Jr. leads this offense. Redshirt sophomore from Davie, Florida. And he hands it off on first down, and it's Zach Switzer off tackle on the left side for a couple of yards.
Yeah, when you have a high-powered offense as they do, and you have the passing game that complements the running game complements the passing game. So when you have kind of clicking on all cylinders on offense, it makes it very tough to defend because you don't know how they're going to attack you. And if you take away one thing, they can hit you over the top with the pass, and so it's tough to defend that. But you look for Dayton to kind of key in on their responsibilities.
Flea flicker, and immediately to the bag of tricks for Presbyterian. There goes Sincere Gill. All the way to the house.
No flags. They started fast. that's that. I mean, when you put up 40 points a game, you had to have big plays and explosion plays, and that's what they did right there. They caught Dayton slipping and sleeping on the DN type, and so that's what happens when you do start off the game with a run, and then you do a run fake flea flicker. They get the defensive line to kind of come in. The linebackers get sucked in right there, and then you hit them over the top because everybody's eyes in the backfield. So that's a great play call right there to start the game to get 6 on the board.
Sincere Gill had his second 100-yard receiving game of the year last week. That goes for 72 yards to get Presbyterian in the end zone. And the extra point added on to make it 7-0 Blue Hose, not even a full minute in. Well, Steve Englehart said he didn't love his team's start last week. They were up 21-0 at halftime. Maybe not by traditional football standards a poor start, but he just said we didn't score on our first drive, and that's exactly what they did in just a couple of plays here today.
Yeah, they came out. That was obviously, that was part of the game plan. They wanted to go over the top early and quick to kind of get Dayton on their heels, and that's exactly what they did. When you start the game with the flea flicker, you kind of bring everybody in, but what that does is that sets the tone for the rest of the game, right? Because you know that, they did that first, so let the linebackers kind of read. They're going to make the linebackers read a little slower. They're going to make the DBs kind of stay out in their back pedal a little bit longer just so they don't get beat over the top, and that opens up the run game. So that was a great play call to set up what's going on in the rest of the game.
So Presbyterian leaps out to a 7-0 lead for a Flyer offense that has really built themselves into games, that has tended to get better as games have worn along throughout this season. This is not the type of game where you can do that, as Presbyterian could run away from you very, very quickly. So we will see how the Flyer offense responds again under QB2 on a technicality in Drew Van Fleet, but again, a guy who was a full-time starter for the Flyers last year. This kickoff is returned. It's brought across the 30-yard line for the Flyers. And Paul Kelly sets Dayton up with good field position as they mark him at the 32.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Van Fleet, he started last year. The guys, they trust him. The coaches trust him. They know that you can bring him in if need be. Unfortunately, with the injury he's in, but he's actually a great quarterback in the system, and he knows what's going on. So they have full confidence in him. Started
all 11 games last year. Just shy of 2,000 yards passing last season. They keep it on the ground to start, and here's Mason Hackett with a chunk run into plus territory.
That's a great run right there by Hackett. Off the edge, kind of seen the scene. Great blocking by the O-line right there to seal the defensive line and seal the linebackers. And he was able to hit that crease. And when you get him running downhill, it's so hard to bring down. He's such a bowling ball out there, so he's hard to bring down. So those yards after contact are going to gain a lot this year.
Physical runner for Hackett, guy who has taken less touches with Luke Hansen gathering more of the role on the ground. This time it is a designed keeper, and that goes up the middle for Gavin Lacco on a wildcat for the Flyers. Again, that's a guy that Presbyterian defensively really wanted to key in on, because Lacco, he can run out of the backfield, he can catch passes. We've seen him throw on trick plays fairly often, and takes the wildcat snap. And again, they line up Van Fleet out wide. Lacco set to take the snap again on 2nd and 7. Another keeper around the edge. He's stacked up for a loss.
Yeah, I said this last week against the game, and he reminds me a lot of Julian Edelman. He really does. Julian Edelman is obviously Hall of Fame receiver for the Patriots, or soon to be Hall of Fame, I hope. But he was a college quarterback. He could do it all, and that's what he reminds me of.
3rd down and 8 for the Flyers. They move pretty quick. Pressure coming, and Van Fleet gobbled up. Robert Porter back to get there for the Presbyterian defense.
Oh, great defensive pressure right there by them. And sometimes when you kind of get up there and you snap the ball quick, the thing you want to make sure as a quarterback is that everybody's set. And it looked like for a split second that the left tackle wasn't as set as he would hope, and they play good defense on the back end. So that leads to a sack. Good coverage, good D-line pressure. But that's a tough start for UD to come out there and go, 3 and out and punt that.
Second sack of the year for the interior lineman, Robert Porter. This punt away from Logan Forkham, who leads the PFL in punting average and keeps it away from Dariel Harper, the returner, to pin Presbyterian inside their own 20-yard line. So Dayton picks up a 1st down. They get to midfield but stall out. And now a chance to stretch the lead for the Presbyterian offense.
Yeah, if you're Dayton right now, you're like, okay, guys, stuff happens, right? You get scored. They have a 70-yard play, second play of the game, kind of catch you off guard. But now you can kind of refocus. You can settle in and just play your game. You just tell your guys, read your keys and be disciplined in your assignments, and you'll have success.
Hurst, play fake on first down, going deep again. He drops it in the bucket. Jalen Patrick into Dayton territory. He's got a first down.
It's a similar, they hit it down the seam. The last time they had a big play was a flea flicker. This one is just a seam play action right over the top of the defense. The linebackers get caught in on the play action, and then he kind of gets over the top of the safety there. But that's a great pitch and catch for, a big gain right there.
Jalen Patrick, the former quarterback, coming off a career-high week last week, 5 catches for 69 yards. He sets up Presbyterian on the Dayton 45-yard line. They keep it on the ground. Hurst cuts it back inside, and he's dropped for no gain. Joe Kingsbury got in to get to the quarterback from behind, second down.
Yeah, great play by Kingsbury there. He come off the edge. He read the run right. He comes flat down the line. That's what you teach. If you get penetration on the edge, you come flat down the line, and you're able to make the backside tackle.
Fake the handoff to the backup quarterback, Ty Engelhardt. Pressure coming. Hurst gets rid of it. And the catch is made by Nathan Levicki, the tight end, who bobbled it but does get a few yards to set up around a 3rd down and 7.
Good defensive rep right there. We call these reps, right? Each play is its own rep, but good defensive rep right there for the entire UD defense. They had only rushed 3, so it means you drop 8, and everybody was in their gap, everybody was in their zone, and that makes it hard for the quarterback to pick and choose when everybody's doing their job.
So 3rd down for the Presbyterian offense. They convert at the 2nd best rate in the Pioneer League. Hurst swings it out wide. Switzer shoved out short. Dayton pleading for a hold, and Trevor Andrews is in the official's ear as that play comes right to the near boundary where he was standing, about 3 yards shy of the line to gain, but Presbyterian keeps the offense on the field.
Yeah, it looked like a hold on that side with the receiver blocking the DB right there. And when you kind of see the DB's shoulders turn, as like they did there, that's kind of a telltale sign. But they probably got away with one there. But it's 4th down, and UD's looking to get off the field.
They bring Ty Engelhardt, the backup quarterback, in. They do have a pooch punt package, so Presbyterian may or may not actually be going for this. Engelhardt takes the snap, stepped up to throw, but a flag comes in. And Presbyterian going to be backed up.
False start. Offense, number 58. 5-yard penalty. It remains 3rd down.
First announcement.
4th down.
First announcement from our referee, Grant Henderson, this afternoon, and that changes the thought process for Steve Engelhardt and company as they bring out the punt team.
Yeah, on those plays, you're right, they have a pooch package in there. Sometimes you might try to draw somebody off sides if you get a couple yards, if it's there, within 5 yards. And then sometimes you just try to catch them sleeping with nobody back there to kind of receive the punt. You can kind of get them pinned down inside there on 10-yard line.
Dayton's revolved the returning duties around a little bit. It's Paul Kelly back there for the Flyers. Ethan Cartmel boots it away. And this takes a nice Presbyterian hop, and they get to it down by Jason Wiggins inside the 5-yard line. They mark it all the way down at the 1.
That's a great punt right there, and you can see early why they having the success they're having this season, right? They're sound on offense, they're sound on defense. The special teams comes and makes big plays like that to pin somebody down. So they're a tough team to beat, but when you play a team like this, you just know you have to be on your P's and Q's as a team, right? UD knows they can't really make mistakes, can't have penalties. You got to really capitalize on the opportunities that they give you.
So Van Fleet on first down, he hands it off, and Hansen gets out of his own end zone and has more, dragged down from behind after a pickup of 22 yards.
That's a great play call right there. Hansen was able to get to run right there. And when you do this kind of play, you're tucking the end zone, you just want to get positive yards, right? He made a nice cut back there on the backside, but you just want to get positive yards and get your guys out of the end zone. But when you can break one for that long, that just helps open up the playbook. So great run right there.
Brought down by Michael Torres after the chunk pickup. This is another keeper for Laco. Takes the snap at QB, and he goes nowhere. Dayton's going to vary up the looks. They're hoping with Van Fleet in at quarterback they can get him in rhythm a little bit with some short throws early on in the game, but they've also lined him up out wide now a ton on these first couple drives.
Yeah, they're looking like they saw something probably in the week of scouting to say, okay, we can capitalize on the Wildcat and get some yardage there, some positive yardage there. But at some point they line up in it again right here. So at some point they're going to have to open up the playbook and throw down the field to get some offensive pressure.
Laco hands it off, and Hansen brought down for a loss. It's been all or nothing right now for this Flyer defensive front. They've had a couple of chunk runs, but they're behind the sticks now on third down.
Yeah, and that's the tough part about running the Wildcat in this situation is on second down. If you don't get any positive yards right now, you're third, and now it's almost a passing down, right? You want to make sure you get enough yards because you don't want to give Presbyterian back the ball, but they lined up in it again.
So they again line up Van Fleet wide to the near side of your screen. It's a keeper for Laco, and he's got space. Laco cuts around the far side. It's a foot race, and Laco goes the distance.
That's why they're coaching and I'm not, right? They've seen something all week that they wanted to expose and capitalize on, and they was able to do that. And sometimes it's just one, and it kind of looks frustrating because you're like, wow, they keep doing that. And sometimes it's just one guy that just missed the block early, and it was open. But he had this great play, great blocking all the way downfield. When you get Laco out there one-on-one with a DB or anybody, he's so fast, he's so electric. I'll take that battle, him one-on-one versus anybody in the country.
Laco was a high school quarterback. He was player of the year in West Virginia. And again, he can really do it all. 79 yards on the keeper. Dayton turns a third and long into points. PAT driven through by Trevor Hinkle. And the Flyers have leveled the game with under 7 minutes to play in the first.
Yeah, such a great run. He was able to get outside, and when you get a foot race with him, you're probably going to lose that more times than not. He's so fast, so electric. Being a quarterback, he's able to read defenses. He's able to see what needs to be done. So that's a great play call. Once again, they fooled me because I was thinking, what are y'all doing 3 times in a row? But that's why they're coaching, and I'm up here.
Bit of a new look for Dayton and Gavin Laco, who, again, is thrown the ball a fair amount for, again, he's a receiver. He's not a college quarterback like he was at high school, but has the capability to throw. But we've seen him use him out of the backfield a little bit. Have not seen this many keeps, though, for him as we've seen through the first couple of drives, and it works out. How about this type of momentum shifter for the Dayton offense? They go 4 plays for 99 yards after starting in the shadow of their own end zone to tie the game.
Yeah, that has to bring you confidence knowing that you can move the ball 99 yards, especially in 4 plays, a couple chunk big plays there. But, yeah, I think they're settled in now. I think offensively and defensively they're in the rhythm of this game. So it's going to be great to see how the cat and mouse game the rest of this game.
So Presbyterian has moved the ball with efficiency offensively. And already drive number 3 for Colin Hurston. When you look at the 2 styles that these teams play, and with Presbyterian scoring over 40 points, it's kind of playing into their hand now to already be in their 3rd drive offensively of the game when you're just over halfway through the first quarter. But Dayton dug their heels in last time out. We'll see what goes around this time for the Presbyterian offense. Hurst on first down, play action. He's again looking for Gill, and he's got it into Flyer territory. Sincere Gill with another huge completion.
Oh, Gill's down on the sideline right there. You hate to see that, but that's, he's such a good receiver, and that's a play action. They hit him over the top there, one-on-one with the corner. And that's a good throw, but just a better catch. A good defense there. Unfortunately, he looked like a knee injury there, but he's right there. The defender's right there. That's just a better throw and better catch. But, yeah, when you average 40 points a game, you used to throwing the ball and airing it out, and that's exactly what they're doing now early. And they're putting a lot of pressure on Dayton's defensive backfield and the back 4 to kind of make plays when they get the ball thrown their way.
2 receptions for Gill already for 111 yards and a touchdown. About half of that yardage coming after catch for him. difficult loss for Presbyterian if this is serious. Again, Gill just got his legs tied up down low. Guy that was all Pioneer League last year, but has really made some serious strides this season. He's now up to 7 touchdowns on the year. Again, back-to-back really strong weeks now for him as he's over 100 yards in 2 straight.
Yeah, when you have a deep threat like Gill, you can take the top off of defenses, and that adds a strain on a defensive coordinator. And one of the things that keeps them up at night is how do you defend a guy that can hit you over the top and make a big play to start the game, and then now have a big reception there. So you're right. This would be a big loss if he's not able to continue this game.
A fresh set of downs coming up for Presbyterian as Gill gets helped to his feet on the far sideline. Again, a Blue Hose team ranked 16th in the coaches poll this week. They are really encroaching on historic territory for a program that's about a century old. And a win today could make it their best start in program history as they try to improve to 8-0. Offense back on the field. And Hurst hands it off on the right side for Antonio Wright. And he wriggles inside the 30-yard line for a chunk run on first down.
Yeah, that was kind of a misdirection play right there. You had the quarterback get the ball and fake it and then come back, return back around and kind of turn his back to the defense. And right there, you just always want to watch. And they come out in the same formation. There's a kind of a halfback off of the line of scrimmage right behind the tight end. You want to watch him and see what he does. Typically as a defense, ball shouldn't typically follow where he's at.
Trevor Andrews gave this Presbyterian offense a lot of credit. They're very creative, a lot of misdirection, a lot of trick plays. We have seen a healthy dose of that so far. They call Wright's number again. And the former Gannon Knight, who was there with his offensive coordinator, Jason Martin, picks up the first down.
Yeah, once again, another great run there. Same formation. You got great run right there, right up the middle. And if you're UD, you're looking for somebody to step up and make a stop, right? You need to slow down this offense. You need to make a play, strip the ball, kind of go at it, get a fumble, get a turnover. Keep them to 3 points here, and this is a win for UD's defense.
Throw over the middle for the end zone. It was intended for Garrison Curry, the backup tight end, but it's knocked away.
That's a great blitz call right there by UD. Blitz somebody right up the middle. He showed a little early. Presbyterian saw it, kind of changed the play, but he was able to get in there and make that a tough throw. Because when you give him a time to sit back there, he can pick apart a defense. But when you get people in his face, make him throw the timing off, you have a little success there from the defensive side.
Hurst is a high completion rate type of quarterback as they hand it off, and Switzer crashes into the red zone, stopped at the 16-yard line to set up a third down and medium.
Yeah, these right here is third down. It's a money down, you call it, on the defensive side of the ball. This is where you get off the field. This is where you buckle down. It don't matter how you got here. It don't matter how many plays they've had to get here, the big plays. This is now when you focus in on your alignment, your assignment, your technique, and you get off the field and force a field goal.
Hand it off to Switzer, and a flag comes in. Now a second as he stopped just shy. It appeared he may have had the edge, but Dayton sealed it off at the last second to hold him short. We'll check on the penalty.
See what they call. Well, yeah, you're right. Dayton had him stopped. They forced him to come back inside, and they was there to rally to make the tackle.
Personal foul. Face mask, defense number 63. Half the distance added to the end of the run, and an automatic first down.
Oh, yes, what you hate to see if you're UD, because that's you
Correction,
really just
it was number 83 on the face mask.
Yeah, he had him. He reached out, try to grab the ball, swipe at the ball, and you just get the face mask there. Unfortunately, that's ill-timed, and that's what you don't want in that situation because you was getting off the field on fourth down.
It's Andrew Janaszak, the veteran from Notre Dame. That sets up Presbyterian inside the 10, but a good open field tackle by Vincent Ferenzi, the sophomore who has taken massive steps this season for the Dayton secondary, and he likely saved a touchdown.
Yeah, that's a great open field tackle right there. He comes down off the edge from the back side of the defense, and he's there. And that's just a one-on-one play right there. It's mano a mano. You step up there and run the alley, and you make a tackle right there. You give the defense another fighting chance.
Delayed handoff. Hurst pulls out of it and throws to the near side. It's incomplete, but a flag in. And the receiver in the area was Dominic Kibbe. He went down.
Looks like they're going to call pass interference.
Pass interference. Defense number 9. This is a spot foul and an automatic first down.
It's another automatic first down for Presbyterian to put them right next to the goal line.
Yeah, let's see this Cope right there at the corner. He comes there, and it looks like that's a tough call to make. He slips in and falling, and as a defender right there when you're on the goal line, you have 5 yards to kind of put your hands on him. Obviously, you got to stop when the ball's in the air, but if the receiver's falling, that's a tough call to make right there.
I think a lot of the Dayton defense thought that would be a run, as this is a handoff on the right side to Levicki with some misdirection, and he got in. So some confusion up front for the Flyers, and Levicki, the tight end, catches the shovel, and Presbyterian jumps back in front with a 1-yard smash mouth to get in the end zone.
Yeah, that's just a tight end right there up the middle, and that's a tough play, right? You got to get 1 yard, and unfortunately they had 2 penalties that kind of stalled that helped put them in the position you are, and that's tough to keep a high-powered offense like this out the end zone when you give them 20-some yards in penalties.
Jet Jackson on for the PAT. And it's blocked. Tayron Spencer, who starts on the Dayton defense but also plays on special teams, flies around the edge.
You see Spencer right at the bottom, he come around the edge. That's a great bend right there. You put your fast guy off the edge, have him come off, read the snap, and you bend, and you get kind of down the line, and that's textbook. I can't even speak right now. I'm so excited. That's textbook right there. I just love to see when players execute good game plan, and that's what they're supposed to do. He bent the corner and was able to get down the line and make the block.
Sophomore from Patascala, Ohio, makes the stop. And so Dayton stays within 6. The Flyer offense gets set to come out once again, and we've had big plays. We're starting to see these teams score at a pretty high rate to start this game. Now it's Dayton's turn.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Dayton, what their game plan is for this drive, because obviously last drive was the Wildcat back there, and they actually had a lot of success in it, having to score. So I'm excited to see if they continue that or if they're trying to switch it up and kind of hit over the top.
Leroy Lewis takes this out of the end zone for the Flyers, and he has a block. Lewis gets across the 35. For a Presbyterian team that really prides itself on special teams and has been one of the better special teams squads in the PFL under Steve Englehart, one area that they've really struggled is on kickoffs this year, and Dayton's had a couple of nice returns. They've got good field position once again for this drive.
Yeah, when you can have a great return and get your offense in great field position and shorten the amount of yards they have to go to score, that just helps and that plays into everything that UD wants to do. But you're right, Presbyterian, they have to figure out a way to kind of secure that because
offsides, kicking team. The 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the return. First down, Dayton.
So that helps Dayton out even more. I was going to say, didn't see a flag, and that was because the flag was way back at the other end of the field where Presbyterian was kicking off from. So the Flyers' drive starts at their own 40-yard line as they try to answer to the touchdown.
Yeah, this is ideal field position for Van Fleet.
Takes the snap and swings it to Masseri, who is lined up in the backfield. And Masseri bangs ahead for a pickup of about 6.
I like that play call. Get the ball in his hands early, trying to get him some more touches, get him involved because of how dynamic of a player that he is. But when you can get him there and get some yards early on first down, that puts some pressure on the defense. Now you know that, hey, they can, if they want, they can come out and get 5 yards and do that if they want to do it again.
Teams have started to key in on Michael Masseri, the Cincinnati transfer, a little bit more. Seen his touches decrease a fair amount in PFL play. You can see that Dayton's just trying to get him the football in any way that they can. They hand this off to Hansen, and the D-line got the push. Carter Sidlowski, first team All-PFL selection from last year, came through untouched to make the stop.
Yeah, when you have a DN with a single digit, you know that that's legit. You know that he's a stud, and right there he proves why. He's able to get penetration right there in the backfield, and he met the quarterback right at the mesh point, and that's tough to block. He's a tough guy to block.
The team in TFL's last year, that's his 8th of the season. And Flyers believe called a timeout as the play clock was winding. Flag does come out, but the near side judge was signaling that Dayton got that timeout off in time.
Illegal substitution on the offense. 5-yard penalty. It remains third down.
Maybe that's why they tried to catch it beforehand. I thought they called a timeout.
I thought they did too. That's what Trevor Andrews is arguing because, again, the referee, that's Grant Henderson, threw the flag, but the near side judge was blowing his whistle. It looked like before that flag came out, signaling that Dayton had called timeout, and both teams are meeting at their benches as if a timeout was called. But there was no announcement.
Yeah.
So.
And that's what he probably seen. He probably knew that they wasn't in the right formation he wanted, and he was trying to get a timeout just to get the guys, get the right formation, get the right personnel that he wanted in. And yeah, this is interesting.
So the officials discussed with Dayton's coaching staff, and they do move the spot back. So I don't believe Dayton will be charged with a timeout there.
There is no timeout on this sequence.
And that's confirmed. So Dayton does get the penalty, which backs them up for this third down. They're right where they started this drive at the 40-yard line. Movement up front. Van Vliet pressured, gets rid of it, off the hands of Ethan Thulin, incomplete. 2 Flyers had a chance to get that. It was in the area of Verbancic first and was a little high for him, but Thulin had that hit him right in the hands, and Dayton has to punt.
Yeah, there he goes right there. Number 9, Carter in the backfield. Once again, he's such a tough guy to block. And when he comes off the edge and you get him one-on-one with a running back, you have to be able to chip him or get some help right there to get him, slow him down. But that's one, and they was able to anticipate that snap, so I would look for UD to kind of do some 1-2 and change up the claps now.
It's a fake. Logan Forcum running around the edge. Forcum close. He's got the first down.
I love that play call in that situation. Catch everybody off guard. You need a spark. You need something to kind of get everybody excited and get the momentum back. And he's fast. Look at him turn that corner. That's what's exciting. When you get a guy like that, a punter that can make a big play for his team outside of kicking, and pinning somebody back down there, that just brings so much excitement to everybody. Look at the sideline. They're all excited for him because they know how big of a moment that was.
Redshirt junior punter from Cincinnati out of LaSalle High School, former state champion under former Flyer Pat McLaughlin. That is a huge play for the Flyer offense. And again, flags come in as the play clock was winding down. It hit double zeros.
Illegal substitution on the offense, number 12. 12 men breaking the offensive huddle. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
2 procedural penalties.
Back-to-back drives, like almost really back-to-back plays, really, if you think about it. But it's that's just a miscommunication between the offensive coordinator and the head coach on what they want to do in this situation, right? And also plays. And it looked like they're having a little confusion right here, too. So they have to get that cleaned up throughout this game if they really want to kind of contend and make a run for this.
Again, it's Laco, the receiver, lined up at quarterback. Van Vliet's in the left slot. Laco on the keep. He's got a perfect edge set for him, and he gets all that yardage back that Dayton lost, picking up 5.
Yeah, but when you start on negative yards and you start 1st and 15, it's tough to kind of make those, because without that penalty, now it's 2nd and 5, right? And so you kind of put yourself behind the 8 ball against a high-powered offense, against a defense as good as Presbyterians. You can't keep giving them yardage and putting yourself into tough situations. Like Wildcat again.
Yeah, still Laco. He hands it off, and Luke Hansen motors ahead and picks up around 3.
Yeah, they've obviously seen something in their scouting reports and their prep that this is what they want to – this is their game plan. Get Laco back there, let him do what he does best, get him the touches, make him make the reads, get him the runs on the outside. And who knows, he's a quarterback in high school. He might puff around and throw one of these things one time, and just to throw a wrinkle in there. But here they are again. So they saw something all week, and they want to exploit it.
He's got 9 passing attempts in his college career, threw for a touchdown against Morehead State earlier this year. Now Laco hands it to his fellow receiver, Masseri, and he gets the first down.
Yeah, I like this. They're just throwing a little wrinkle in to their offensive game plan that forces Presbyterian to think about something different.
That is the end of the first quarter.
Both teams averaging over 10 yards per play as we go to the second quarter. That's the type of afternoon that we're in for as this one continues to roll along. Huge one here in the PFL as Presbyterian tries to defend an undefeated record, and they've got the lead as we head to quarter number 2. Coming up next, we'll be back. Second quarter getting ready to begin after a shootout type of first. Dayton on the move. And Van Vliet on a little swing, throws it to Hansen, and Presbyterian's defense all over it. Malik Lewis with the TFL.
Yeah, Malik Lewis right there. That was a great play. He read the swing pass all the way. He was able to shoot right up the field and make a real big hit in open field. And once again, UD's kind of behind the sticks on first down, get a negative yard, so now 2nd and long.
Check down for Van Vliet, and Presbyterian is all over that one as Donovan Weatherly caught that in a crowd.
Yeah, that Presbyterian, they're all over this UD UD offense right now. They're able to read. They kind of predicting what they're going to do. That was a screen, and they got pressure in on the quarterback. He was able to had to force him to throw that a little sooner than he wanted. And they was rallied around and was able to make a big tackle right there.
Laco in at quarterback on third down. He's going to throw, lets it rip down the field, looking for Masseri, tipped and intercepted. What a play by Zeb Strop. His second pick of the year. He hangs on with one hand. And Presbyterian forces a Flyer turnover.
Yeah, we knew that they was going to kind of throw out of this formation, and he got a little air under that too much, but they was able to, 3 defenders out there, they were able to tip it, and they do a great job of getting everybody to the ball. But like I said, ran out here, he actually put a decent throw on it, kind of got hit through that a little earlier than he wanted to, left it in the air, but when you have those 3 defenders around there, and unfortunately that's what happens.
Back-to-back years with a pick against the Flyers for Zeb Strop. That's the first interception Dayton has thrown this year. Here in Week 9, the 8th game played for the Flyers this season. And to be fair, it was not by a quarterback with Gavin Laco throwing there on third down. Essentially a punt as Presbyterian set up at their own 10-yard line. And Dayton's all over the first down handoff.
Yeah, they're normally really great with the turnover margins on the team, and that was unfortunate there. But you try to make a big play, you try to get something excitement, you do a fake punt to kind of get your team excited. You just trying to grasp on any type of momentum there, and unfortunately that didn't go their way. But look for their defense. Their defense needs to step up right here, right now, make a big play, get off the field, get your offense back the ball, and kind of put a stop to this high-powered offense.
Handoff to Justin Montgomery, and he is brought down on the interior. Again, Vincent Ferenzi in to help out the Flyers defensively. Not seen much of Justin Montgomery, who was not listed on the depth chart this week, but is their second leading rusher with nearly 500 yards on the year. Scored a touchdown against the Flyers last season and stays in as the back on third down.
Yeah, he had a big game last week. He had 3 touchdowns, and so I think that's something that you can kind of come in and hone in on, that he's a liable second option at running back.
Dayton backs into coverage. Throw to the near side. Oh, it was nearly intercepted. Jalen Patrick got a hand on that football as a receiver for Presbyterian, and that prevented an easy pick for the Flyers. And Matt Grant III, the safety who had nobody around him.
Yeah, that was overthrown right there by Hurts, and that's one. But that's what you wanted as a defense, right? You come in, you 3 and out, get them to stop, get your offense back the ball, hopefully get a good punt return right here, get yourself in good position, and put the offense back in great position to score.
Ethan Cartmill had trouble with the snap, and he shanks this kick. Dayton's got to be careful as they may have touched that. Presbyterian pounces on it. And what is our call? This was covered up by Presbyterian. But the Flyers that were backing into coverage were not facing that football, and a low line driver might have clipped some legs on its way through. Review is available if these officials want to use it, but you got to make a call first.
Yeah, that's interesting, and that's so hard as you're on punt return and you're running with your back to the punter and you're just running down the field going, and he kind of bobbles it there. He kind of doesn't get a good clean on it.
First touching on the kicking team. The ball will be at the 32-yard line. It will be Dayton's ball, first and 10.
But that's the only scary part about when you have your back to the punter, you're blocking on punt return, is if it is a bad kick or they do muff it and it's a low line drive, you have no idea where the ball's at. You're anticipating it being in the air. You're looking at your punt returner to tell you the direction it's going. But when it's kind of low and behind you, you're kind of just you don't know, right? And so you have no idea. You see their back they don't even know where the ball's at all. But fortunately, that was in UD's favor today, and they got the ball in good field position.
Jason Briones was running after it for Presbyterian, and it got him in the ankle. Now here's Hansen. He's got a hole, and Dayton wastes no time. Luke Hansen into the end zone to tie the game.
That's how you answer right there. That's how you come back. That's how you play on defense, get them stopped. You get a great, and that's what I talk about, capitalize on opportunities that you get, right? They had a great opportunity there. It was fortunate to get the ball in good field position, and that's what you have to do against a great team. You have to capitalize on the opportunities when you get them and put points on the board. It's a great cutback by Hansen right there, and he's able to see the alley and just run. Great blocking all the way around downfield. Such a great play.
7th touchdown of the year. It has been a monstrous junior season for Luke Hansen, and with that PAT, the block comes into play, and Dayton now leads. So for the first time this afternoon, the Flyers play from in front, and I think we can finally put the label on this one. This is a shootout that we've got going on.
Yeah, for sure. You knew coming in that there was going to be two high-powered offenses, two of the best in the league. And when you kind of get the ball rolling, you get the momentum on your side, it's going to be what defense steps up first. That's what's going to be kind of the end of the game. And sometimes these games come down to who has the ball last, right? It's like who's going to win the game.
And by the way, taking a look at these touchdown drives, you've got the one outlier that's 9 plays. That was for Presbyterian on the 75-yard touchdown drive. Outside of that, 2 plays for a Presbyterian touchdown, 4 plays for a Dayton touchdown, 1 play for a Dayton touchdown. So these offenses are not getting cheated right now, as they have each found the end zone a couple times.
Yeah, quick strikes, high-powered offenses. You have an exciting game on your hands.
First real returnable kick for Zach Switzer, who again is their starting running back, and they have him back there to return both punts and kicks. And he brings it across the 25 to get Presbyterian a few extra yards.
Yeah, he's dynamic, and when you have somebody like that, you just kind of want to contain them from a UD standpoint. But UD, they had some momentum coming in there. They was able to stop them on the offense and offensive side of the ball, and hopefully their defense can step up here, continue to make plays. But when you have big play capability, as you've seen, they score in 1 or 2 plays, you have to be mindful that they can take the top off of the defense at any time.
After Dayton's defense got a big-time stop, they're back out quickly, and a huge hit on Justin Montgomery. And guess what? It's Vincent Ferenzi again for Dayton.
Ferenzi, such a great open field tackler. Look at him shoot the gap, and he's able to get the tackle for loss. I keep talking about textbook film, and that right there is a textbook play. I keep saying that a lot, but that's when you teaching it, you watch film and you say, if you see it go and don't hesitate, shoot the gap. That's exactly what he did, and that's what happens. You make a good play.
Again, Ferenzi's just been so good in every facet for Dayton here in his sophomore season. Flyers are rallying to the football right now as Montgomery again goes nowhere.
Yeah, they're picking up on the momentum. Their defense is excited right now. You can see the little energy's picking up a little bit more. They're flying around to the ball. They're excited. They're telling the coach, "Come on, give us the play. Let's get out here." They're fired up, and they're in great position right here to get another stop.
3rd down and 9. Presbyterian has faced just 1 third down in this game so far. Flyers step up. Deflected, intercepted. Josh Williams.
They are fired up on that side.
3rd pick of the year for the sophomore from Wayne High School.
This play was it started with the penetration from the D-line. They got in his quarterback's face, forced him to kind of make a different read. There you go, 93 coming off the edge, get a little hot hand on his shoulder, make the cold throw a little bit kind of wobbly, but he threw it in the coverage. Great coverage there. That's what you call when everybody's around the ball, something great happens, whether it's a fumble and everybody's there to recover it, or whether it's a tip ball. But right there, he stepped up in the pocket, and he was covered the whole way. Great play, great defense right there by UD to get the ball back. So
the Flyers take over, and now they motion into the trick formation. Wildcat for Laco. He fakes the flip back to the quarterback, Van Fleet. Pretty well covered by Presbyterian's defense as he picks up a couple of yards.
Yeah, they're sticking to this formation. They're sticking to this. They trust Laco back there to make the right reads and get the right offense in there and make the right play, and that's what he's doing this whole game. So I like this. I kind of throwing that wrinkle in there, but sticking to it, right? Sometimes after an interception he threw a little earlier, some teams get away from that game plan, but UD's sticking to it and it's having some success at it.
Second down, Van Fleet gets rid of it. Burbancic, first down.
Yeah, it looks like UD is now, I said it earlier, but it looks like they're really settling into what they want to do. They're seeing the defense well. The coaches is known, okay, this is what we can do. They're giving us the flats. They're giving us the outside on the run. So let's just take what they're giving us and march down this field. And then that opens up those big plays that we've seen earlier.
Under 10 minutes to play in the half. All the energy is on the near sideline. Hansen fights for some yardage through contact, down at the 12.
Yeah, he's so hard to bring down, especially when he gets ahead of steam. When he can get to that edge and turn that corner, he's such a tough guy to bring down. Get some tackles for loss. You don't have those tackles because he can break out those tackles if you get him back there in the back of the field. But he's such a great hard runner, and he opens up a lot with the offense.
Averaging 6 yards per carry this season. That is a career best by a long shot for the third-year Flyer, Luke Henson. Masseri was the one to keep it, and he swims inside the 10 for a first down.
It looked like he might have, just from the scene, it looked like he was looking to throw that to the tight end, but he was covered up. So that's a great improvisation right there to improv that. And if something's not there, just kind of get some yards. But that's what it looked like when he kind of faked back there to Van Fleet, turned the corner. He looked like he was going to throw. But once again, those are kind of wrinkles that right there that they're seeing. They're kind of doing the, I don't want to say call it gimmicky, but it's just untraditional offenses to get yards.
That sets Dayton up, goal to go. Chance to take a full possession lead for the first time. Laco keeps, and a good tackle to keep him out of the end zone. As Laco made one good dodge to get away, but he could not get free away from Alex Ward, the DB, and South Carolina native for Presby.
Yeah, that's a great tackle. That's one of those, if you don't make that tackle, that's 6 right there. And that's the unfortunate part about being a DB is that if you make one mistake or you don't fill the gap well, it's a touchdown. But he was able to come down, make a great open field tackle on an explosive offensive player.
Second and goal. Laco bursts through into the end zone. Touchdown for the Flyers. Flag does come in near the pile.
Regardless of this call right here, I love that play. You had some success on it.
This is going to stand.
The result of the play is a touchdown. During the play, personal foul, illegal block below the waist on the defense. That penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
So it's a touchdown for Laco, his second on the ground today. And this Dayton offense that's just getting everybody touches right now. They are absolutely rolling as Trevor Henkel steps up for the PAT, puts it through, but looks like whistles blew it dead before he could get that off.
Yeah, Presbyterian, they're on the ropes right now, and you see how they're going to react. They're doing some kind of uncommon
Offsides,
things.
defense number 7. That penalty is declined.
Re-kick?
The penalty is declined. We'll replay the try.
Okay.
So because it's, I believe, an offside penalty which caused somebody on the line to react, you can't the down was blown dead, so there was no play
Yeah.
there. So Dayton fans wanted to keep that kick, but you're not allowed to. They have to get Henkel to kick this again. A little bit of trouble with the snap there, but Henkel still knocks it through.
Yeah, this has been an exciting game so far. A lot of high power. Dayton's coming back, and they're putting they got the momentum on their side right now. So if you're Presbyterian, you're trying to battle back, and you know you have the offensive capability, but you might not have been in this situation a lot this year where you're down going into still in the second quarter. But it's one of those things where on both sides you want to see what your guys are made of. When you have the win streak like they've had, you had a lot of success. You want to make sure that your guys can battle through adversity, right? Can we fight back if we're down, if we lose momentum? Can we capture it back and take it back? So that's what I'm looking forward to them. And if I'm UD, I'm looking forward to just continue what you're doing, right? Defense is flying around to the ball, offense is scoring, so special teams is playing. So that's contagious.
Presbyterian has only trailed at halftime twice this season. They did win, of course, both of those games. But haven't really been punched in the mouth like this by a PFL opponent yet. So again, interesting to see, like you said, how this team will answer. And again, as much success as Presbyterian has had, this is still uncharted territory to just have been this good for this long. 11 games won in a row, second longest active streak in the country. They're one of 8 undefeateds left in FCS. Dayton doesn't try to pooch this, just to kick out the end zone to start Presbyterian's offense at the 25-yard line. And again, there's a chance to get really greedy here for Dayton, who will get the ball coming out of halftime if they manage this clock properly.
Yeah, and Presbyterian, when they come out, the success they've had in scores, they've had big plays the first play of the drive, right? They've had big plays, the first play long over the top. Well, the first touchdown was the second play, but early in the drive, they're able to go deep. And so I think they're going to come back to that at some point.
Again, more trickery. They flip it to Gill, and he's chipped down. Josh Williams, who had the pick, comes up with a huge open field tackle, and Gill, who we saw go down earlier with a lower body injury. Again, good to see him back in, but that's an awkward hit to take, and he went right off to the sideline, and he's now laying on the track on the far side.
He got that knee again, but that's a great play right there by, you said, Williams, that coming there, got the pick, able to fight off that block and shoot underneath and make a tackle for loss. And that's what you want as a corner. You want somebody who can have ball skills to make picks, but also can get in the run game and make big tackles.
It's 1 second and long. The handoff just goes backwards. Brandon Martin has led this crew. Trevor Andrews has sung the praises of what his sophomore out of Moeller High School has done. And Martin comes up with the TFL. It is 3rd and 15. This crowd is loud, and this feels like a tipping point for Presbyterian.
Yeah, this is one of those moments in every game where you want to see, it's a gut check moment, right? It's like, okay, it's 3rd and long. We're in their territory. We're in our territory, sorry. Let's try to make a first down, and let's continue this drive. And if you're Dayton, you're like, no, we got to stop it right here.
Under pressure, throw to the near side, wide open. Hurst puts it in the bucket to Nathan Levicki for a first down.
Great play by Hurts right there in Presbyterian. They had right there, he has time, the O-line's blocking, he stepped up in the pocket, and he hit the honey hole. We call that the honey hole right there between the safety and the corner. If it's a cover 2, the corner's kind of sitting because you have a hitch route kind of right there. That's a smash route. You have the corner over top with number 2. That's just a great play call and great throw in that moment.
Again, the calling card for Hurst, former freshman All-American, has been just dead-eye accuracy, and he has shown that in the passing game for Presbyterian this afternoon. Switzer picks up a handful on first down.
Yeah, great play call there. That's a good play call on 3rd down, but that's why he is who he is, right? He's able to stay in there, not try to force anything, be poised, step up in the pocket, make a big throw in a big-time moment, and that's why he is the guy that he is, and that's why Presbyterian has 40 points a game.
redshirt sophomore out of Davie, Florida. He was a very experienced starter for the Blue Hose. Handoff to Zach Switzer. He just keeps on trucking, and he gets into Dayton territory and picks up the first down.
That's an all-effort play right there. He's able to get in there. He keeps his feet moving, doesn't go down with contact, and that's what you want. But we're just talking how they're going to respond right after kind of being punched in the mouth, as you said. Look at him right there. They tackle, they can make contact there, and he still's running 5, 6, 7 yards down the field. But this is how you're going to respond now that you've been punched in your mouth. You called it uncharted territory, so how are you going to respond? And they're responding how you want.
Switzer stays in at the back. Graduate student. Started his career with the Memphis Tigers in FBS. They call his number again. And Switzer gets another chunk first down run. Spent a couple years at Memphis, getting lower on the depth chart. He dealt with some injury as he was starting to climb up the depth chart a little bit for the Tigers and decided to transfer into Presbyterian and has been a really reliable, again, multi-talented piece for Presbyterian. First team all-league returner last year. All-purpose yards, 4th in school history last season. Again, they use him in a lot of different ways. They fake it to him this time and throw it out wide to Jalen Patrick, who is shoved out of bounds about a half-yard short of the line to gain.
It looks like another flag. See what that is. But that's Gil, by the way, just got up. He's walking to the medical tent back there. So hopefully he's okay after those 2 kind of injuries to the leg right there.
Holding. Offense, number 11. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. It remains second down.
That's on the receiver, Jaden Scott, transfer from Charleston Southern, and that gets Presbyterian behind the sticks. And this was an area that it didn't end up biting them last week, but Steve Englehart said they found themselves in just way too often, especially early on in the game. 2nd and long, 3rd and long. Dayton's front has done a good job getting them to positions like this throughout the afternoon. They pick up most of that yardage back on a quick throw and catch that is brought in by Devarius Abercrombie.
Ineligible player downfield, offense number 2. He was covered up in the formation. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. It remains second down.
Yeah, right here. They're just kind of hurting themselves in this drive right here. They had some good momentum and 3rd down completion, 3rd and long, but you just kind of doing some uncharacteristic mistakes, right? When you have illegal formation and somebody downfield and somebody's covered up, that's just a miscommunication right there between the receiver and the line and the in-man on line scrimmage.
One weak point for Presbyterian, nearly 62 yards a game for penalties. That is most in the Pioneer League. And again, going backwards here on that throw out wide to Switzer.
Great open field tackle right there. Looked like Cope right there was able to come in there and make the tackle and get open for but that's what you want to see, right? You want to see now it's 3rd and a mile, right? And so you know that you just keep everything in front of you right now. You can see that they have 4 or 5 guys right at the sticks right there. Keep everything in front of you. Come up, rally to a tackle. Make them either force the punt or force a field goal. Get your offense back the ball.
Handful of 3rd downs. Amend a statement from earlier on. Our stats program hasn't quite updated, but Presbyterian has struggled to convert on these throughout the afternoon and just forced to check it down. Switzer gets a couple. Dayton's just fine with that.
My clock, Brian.
And this defense digs their heels in and comes up with a stop. And again, now is the chance to really put the hammer down if you're Dayton as we approach the 2-minute timeout. And there it is.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
It is all Flyers right now. They lead by 8, but they're set to get the ball back. And again, they get it out of the locker room as well. So a chance with all 3 timeouts also, by the way, because again, they were not called for that timeout earlier on kind of an odd situation with a penalty. So you've got all 3 timeouts to work with. You can generally do pretty much whatever you want, but this has been a seismic shift from the first quarter to the second quarter. And again, Dayton's growth into games has just continued into today as they've improved throughout the first half.
Yeah, you saw the gradual improvement, the gradual confidence was building, the momentum started to shift on their side, and they capitalized on it. But yeah, if I'm UD, I know that, hey, we get the ball at half, we got 2 minutes left to go. We got all our timeouts. There's no rush, even though Presbyterian has their timeouts as well. But we're not trying to get them the ball back. You know, if I'm the coach and say, hey, we're going to keep control of this. We're going to make this a 2-minute drive, take a field goal at worst, touchdown at best. Don't give them the ball. And if we do give them with a little time left on the clock, less than 45 seconds, go into the locker room with the lead and kind of come back and regroup.
Get a look at that Flyer defense. Looked down early on, but I mean, something has just completely flipped for Dayton since giving up a couple of huge plays to start the game. They've figured it out. They forced a turnover. They forced a short punt. And they have really given their offense a lot to work with, and doing so again right before halftime.
Yeah, and when they score quick like they did the second play of the game, you can kind of chalk that up as just a one-off, right? It's like, hey, they called us, we wasn't ready. Let's make the corrections we need to make, but you still have a lot of game left, and they show that they bounced back from that right away.
Then Cartmell. Line driver, Kelly's got it. Kelly dodges a tackle, sidesteps, and stays on his feet. He takes a big hit, but hangs on to the football just shy of the 30-yard line. And now the Dayton offense comes out still with all 3 timeouts.
Yeah, it was a good, solid return, get some positive yards. And when I played college, I played at the University of Buffalo, and they told our punt returner, hey, make one move and get upfield, right? Just make one move, get upfield, get as many yards as you can. If you get 5 or 10 yards, that's like an extra first down, right? So you want to make sure you get positive yards, and that's exactly what he did right there.
It's interested to see how aggressive this Flyer offense will be. Kicking game has been very inconsistent for Dayton this year. They've switched primary kickers, so that's something to keep an eye on if they approach field goal range. They hand it off on first down, and a slight wrinkle for Hansen.
Yeah, you're no rush right here. Like I said, you run it, you bring the shot. I keep saying shot clock, play clock down. You want to make? I'm thinking of basketball right now. NBA's back on, so I'm thinking of basketball. But yeah, bring the play clock down and kind of run it there and just get as many yards as you can, what the defense gives you.
Laco's wide open. Good throw from Van Fleet on the run, and Dayton's in business into Presbyterian territory.
Yeah, Laco's such a dynamic receiver. He's able to get in there, see the defense, sit down in that pocket. Van Fleet was able to run out. That's a sprint out, and that's a 3-person route right there. You got levels, and you just hit somebody on the levels.
Finally, time to just sit in the pocket, and a little high for Laco. We have really not seen him at all in the receiving game yet today because he's been so active in the backfield, but Laco targeted twice in a row. That throw just a tad overcooked from Van Fleet.
Yeah, they had the matchup they wanted. They had Laco right there on the safety, hit it, cut across his face on the post there, and that's just one you kind of went back as Van Fleet because you know it was right there. You know he's open. Just got a little excited and kind of aired it a little high.
And Fleet jump throw for Hansen. Makes a move, gets a couple yards, and Dayton spends their first timeout.
Yeah, smart timeout there. You get some yards. You
timeout,
get an incomplete pass.
This is their first timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
And now just regroup. Now you're like, okay, what do we do here? If we're playing for a field goal, what yardage do we need to go to get comfortable, right? If we don't get the first down, what play do we draw up? If we get 8 yards here, are we going to go for it again? So this is the time where coach is kind of just letting the players know, hey, this is what we're going to do in these different scenarios. So when one of them plays out, the players aren't panicking and kind of don't know, and the coach can kind of talk it through and kind of get the game plan there. But if I'm Presbyterian, I'm like, hey, let's stop them, give them no more yards. Let's get our guys the ball back. We have a high-powered offense. We can score in 1 or 2 plays, and so that's what we need to do if you're on their side of the ball.
Still a chance for Presbyterian's defense to get a stop. It's 3rd down. Snap to Laco with blockers and a good tackle from behind as Carter Sidlowski has continued to anchor the Blue Hose defense. Interesting decision coming up on 4th down for Dayton.
Yeah, That was an interesting play call there, and I'm thinking, I don't know if they was trying to, okay, let's get to the side, but they're also leaving them on the field. So maybe there's like, hey, we get 4 yards or 5 yards, we can kind of keep this playbook open and try to make this first down and continue this drive.
4th down with under 30 seconds to play. Laco on the connection. Van Fleet puts it into his chest, and he picks up the first. Clock stops, and Dayton does take the timeout.
Yeah, and I love that because that's what he drew up right there, and that's why they called a timeout earlier. And I was talking about they have
second timeout of the half.
different
This will
scenarios.
be a 30-second timeout.
Okay, sorry. But it was one of those where you called a timeout earlier and you're like, hey, this is what we're going to do, right? If we get the first down, if we get 5 yards, if we get 7 yards. So you're able to, and then that instills confidence in your players that say, okay, we get 4th and 5. We know exactly what the play is going to be. I know exactly what my read's going to be. I know I got Laco right there lined up on a safety or linebacker. He's going to win that battle 8 out of 10 times. So trust your guys, and Laco's having a big game. And as quarterback, he's running the ball, he's throwing, he's receiving. So get the ball in your playmakers' hands and then continue this drive. And now you're in the driver's seat. Now you got 22 seconds left. You have 1 timeout. You can take a couple shots at the end zone and before you kick a field goal.
Play fake, Van Fleet facing pressure. Dishes it out to Hackett, hoping he could get out of bounds there, and Trevor Andrews calls timeout, and I don't think that's what Dayton wanted.
Yeah, no, that's not the play you want. If you do the check down.
Dayton. This is their 3rd and final timeout of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
I waited for that one. But if you do a check down right, Van Fleet made the right read, but you just want to hopefully he gets out of bounds and stops the clock, right? So you don't have to use a timeout. But this is another scenario, just like the last timeout. It's, okay, we have 14 seconds left. This is what we're going to do. We're going to try to make a play for the end zone. Throw the ball either to the back of the end zone or down the sideline. If you catch it, get out of bounds as quick as you can and try to get to whatever side of the field the kicker feels best on, right? If it's stay on the right hash, if he feels best on the right hash. If not, move it to the left hash, try to get the ball to the outside. So this is the scenarios that you kind of prep your players for. So now they're not panicking in that situation when it happens.
This would be a somewhat long field goal from here, about 48 yards. Dayton targets the outside, and Ethan Thulin open. Thulin rolls to the end zone. Touchdown!
Great play call. That was a great executed drive right there. Great use of your timeouts, great use of getting your players in position. And look at, he went down the sideline right there. That's the honey. Oh, that's such a good throw. That's such a good throw. Right over the corner, right before the safety. You can't, I mean, the DB barely got a tip on it, but that's such a great throw right there. And then great battle right there to keep his feet in bounds and to keep going for the touchdown.
Ankle knocks the PAT through and wipe away the second play of the ball game. And this has been essentially a dream start for the Flyers, who go up 28-13. And again, it's Dayton football out of the break. And there's some flustered faces on the Presbyterian sideline for, again, a team that has faced nothing like this at all this year.
Yeah, they're when you go into the locker room, we call this, gut check the heart of your team. Hey, how bad do you want this? Yes, it's easy when things are going well. When you're scoring 40 points a game and you're kind of running away with every game, it's easy to be confident, it's easy to look and be excited then. But how are you going to battle back when you get punched in the mouth and things don't go your way for a whole half? But if you're UD, you couldn't script a better first half than this for University of Dayton to come out and take this lead and be scoring as much as you put 28 points up in the first half.
So Dayton kicks this one back away. And it's fair caught by Zach Switzer. With 6 seconds to go in the first half, and Presbyterian was leading 21-0 over Stetson after what they felt like was a slow start at the break last week. And looked like their offense was going to roll all over Dayton with what they did to start this game. But as good as Dayton's offense has been, they've shown a ton of different looks. It's almost been like rugby, the amount of lateral movement and pitching and everything that we've seen. But this Flyer defense has been on their A game this afternoon, probably their best half of the year.
Yeah, they definitely came out here and had this game circled, right? And make the tackle. Yeah, get him out of bounds. But, yeah, they definitely had this game circled, especially all week, especially how the tough defeat they had last week to come back and bounce back and play really well. So the coach got in their ear in practice all week, and they sticking to the game plan, and they wanted to switch things up on offense, give a different offensive look, hopefully slow down, the Presbyterian offense, and that's what they're doing.
Hand it off again, and Switzer's bottled up.
That is the end of the first half.
So at halftime, and nationally ranked Presbyterian trying to win a season-best 8th game in a row to start the year. 11 games in a row total coming in to the day. They face their largest halftime deficit this year as the Flyers have got them down 15, 28-13. And again, it's Dayton football coming out of the break. You played complimentary football in the first half, but just some of your quick thoughts on what Dayton did in the opening 30 minutes to have such a big lead.
Yeah, I thought they played well in all facets of the game. Defense stepped up big outside of the second play of the game. Offense was able to get back there, throw some wrinkles in there, and they score. So they answered the call, and I'm looking forward to a great second half.
Presbyterian trailed by 2 touchdowns on the road against Furman earlier in the year. They won in overtime. They'll have to do the same against Dayton here this afternoon to stay unbeaten. We'll be back for the second half. Until then, enjoy the Dayton Flyer Band for their halftime performance.
Prepare yourselves for the pride of Dayton Marching Band.
legendary Ozzy Osbourne. So please join us all aboard that crazy train. Please turn your attention to the front sideline for a special presentation. Join us in congratulating this year's recipient of the George Koenig Memorial Scholarship, Junior Music Education major, Mason Snyder. In 2003, the Dayton Music community lost a beloved friend with the untimely passing of George Koenig, cutting short his career in music education. A 1973 graduate of the University of Dayton, George dedicated over 30 years to teaching students from kindergarten through 12th grade. In honor of his dedication to music education, George's friends, family, and the UD Band alumni established a memorial scholarship in his name. This scholarship is awarded each fall to a music education major. Joining us today are members of George's family, Tom and Joyce Koenig, along with Maria, DJ, and Paul. They will present the award alongside the Pride of Dayton directors Kenneth Will and James Leslie. Please help us in congratulating Mason Snyder. We close our show with a hit song from the genius of Brian Wilson with one of his biggest hits from the Beach Boys.
Dayton leading Presbyterian 28-13 as we get set to begin the second half. Luke Westpoli, Josh Copeland with you. And Josh, Presbyterian felt like they needed to get in that locker room with how Dayton moved the ball offensively. Dayton had an answer on defense for a really strong 30 minutes after giving up a big play early on, but having the chance to maybe look over some video, adjust the game plan a little bit. How do you just deal with all this variance that Dayton has thrown at you on Presbyterian's defensive side?
Yeah, UD came out with a game plan to kind of throw unconventional offense right at them. They had Galvin locked back there getting with the Wildcat offense, and he was able to do a lot of different things, throw different looks at them, and that kind of threw them off balance a little bit on defense, Presbyterian. And so I think what you do at halftime when you're making your adjustments is you now adjust for that, because it's one of those things. UD had a lot of success at it, and so now you kind of make the adjustments and you kind of bring some more people in the box to kind of help with that run stopping, and then also on offense just continue to kind of do what you do, right? You high-powered offense, score a lot of points, so just continue to do that. But I want to see how Gill is, if Gill's coming back in the game, because the leading receiver got hurt earlier in the game, so that would be something to keep an eye on. But even if you don't have him, you still have weapons. They still have weapons they can use. So I think this is a good opportunity for the coaches to see what their players are made of. Get punched in your mouth. First time like in this situation, how are you going to respond?
Colin Hurst in the first half, offensively for Presbyterian, 10 for 14, 182 yards and a touchdown with a tip drill interception. But for a team that averages almost 200 yards on the ground per game, Dayton limited Presbyterian to just 55 rushing yards and 3.1 yards per carry in the first half. And a Flyer defense that has looked up and down. They have yet to really put together a full, consistent 60-minute effort, even in games like, say, Morehead State a few weeks ago, where they had a blanked first half. They allowed 28 points in the second half to let Morehead State all the way back into that football game before ultimately grabbing a late touchdown. But Dayton hoping they can continue that intensity on the defensive side of the ball for a full 60 minutes. But crucially, after that late touchdown, with under 10 seconds to play in the first half, the Flyers will start with the football with the chance to really put some separation between them and Presbyterian. And again, a high-powered offense that the Blue Hose have that we have seen flashes of, but it feels like we haven't really seen their full complement just yet.
Yeah, they haven't been able to put together everything like they usually do. But if I'm UD, I'm trying to start fast this third quarter. Coming out the gate, getting the ball back. Starts with a great kickoff return right here.
Here's Leroy Lewis again, and Dayton's kickoff return unit has just been clicking this afternoon. That is another return of 35-plus yards as they mark Lewis out right at the 35 as he tight-roped up the far sideline, and more good field position for the Flyer offense.
Yeah, anytime you can get a good kickoff return and get your offense in a good field position, that just adds to the confidence and the momentum they had going into halftime. And I think we talked about this season they haven't really started great in the third quarter and played well, so I think they're going to try to make that change right here and put some points on the board early in this half.
And Fleet hands it off on first down. Hansen ducks back inside, dodges a tackle. Hansen still going, and he picks up the first down. Shiftiness in addition to that power for the junior from Indy.
Yeah, great run out here, kind of outside zone. He bounces it outside, makes the guy miss, and he's getting upfield. Told you, he's so hard to tackle when he's running downhill. You can't tackle him with one arm. You got to bring multiple guys in there to hit him and slow him down. So that's a great way to start. If you can get 8 yards, 12 yards on the run, why stop? That just opens up everything else.
Locko took about 40 to 50% of Dayton's offensive snaps at quarterback in the first half. He takes the snap here, and the receiver barrels ahead a yard shy of midfield.
Yeah, I think he's once we taught him. I'm gonna keep saying that he's a Swiss Army knife. He can do a little bit of everything, and when you have a guy explosive like that, the best thing you can do is get the ball in his hands early, right? And let him make the decisions. Especially you got Van Fleet back there who's seasoned, but when you can kind of have that balanced attack and throw different looks at the defense, it just makes it that much harder to kind of defend.
Illegal substitution. 12 men in the huddle. Number 12. 5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
That is the third time that exact penalty has been called on Dayton this afternoon.
Yeah, and it's the same formation. It's just with him at quarterback, and kind of now they switched it back to Van Fleet, but before it was him at quarterback. So I don't know if they had just some miscommunication of who's supposed to be in during that package, but that's something they have to get corrected.
Hand off to Hackett into the pile. And he gets to the 50-yard line. Call it a pickup of 6.
Yeah, I like the way UD's coming out here, and they're running it. They're like, hey, we know that we can get some yards here. Whatever they went back and seen on film that said, okay, now we can attack here at the middle of the field, attack the DNs, try to slow them down the defensive line. But now you got third and short. See what they dial up here.
They hand it to Hackett. He's close, but he's short, stacked up. Just prior to the line to gain, Dalton Epps, the Myrtle Beach native, in on the stop for Presbyterian, along with a whole gang of interior linemen. It's 4th down and 2, and Dayton initially is going to go for this.
Yeah, I don't hate this call. Maybe try to get them to jump off sides, but this is when you can kind of put your foot down on the pedal a little bit more, right? You can kind of slam the door shut if you get this first down and continue this drive.
Blue Hose show pressure. Laco to the inside. It is very, very close. He got the first down. A tough physical run that required all 11 red jerseys.
Yeah, Laco right there cut the edge, and he put his shoulder down and got the field. That was a great hit, though, right there by that linebacker coming across. But all you need is a yard or two, and you get that. You trust your guy to get those yards, and that's what you tell you guys. Hey, we don't need a touchdown right here. We just need 3 yards, all right? Dig deep and get us 3 yards so we can continue this drive.
Dayton, one of the best 4th down teams in the Pioneer League. They convert almost 75% of the time. Screen to Masseri. And wrapped up after a short pickup.
Yeah, they haven't called his number a lot this game, but, I mean, it's still a lot of football left, right? And he's such a dynamic receiver that you have to get him some touches at some point in the game. But that just adds to how dynamic UD is. They have multiple options. You have a 2-head monster at running back. You can kind of control that, and they have the momentum now. Here goes the Wildcat package again.
And it was Laco and Masseri is really the 2 main targets early on in the season, but Dayton has started to use them in sort of some other ways as they hand it to Masseri around the edge. A huge block from Hansen to set the edge, and Masseri picks up the first down. And
that's what you love to see, right? Hansen coming in with a big block. But that means that they love this package. And sometimes when you throw a different wrinkle in their offense, look at him coming around here, sealing this edge, knock the cornerback out. We call that get out the club, right? You kind of bounce them out the club. But sometimes towards the end of the season, when you have a wrinkle in offense, it just excites everybody, right? They get a little bit more excited. It's not the mundane kind of drop back and throw. So everybody's pitching in and helping each other.
Much more regular look for the Flyers here with Van Fleet and Hansen in the backfield. And Luke Hansen drills forward on the ground to pick up a few yards. Really have not seen a slow, methodical drive at all in this game. Dayton's starting to do it for the first time.
Yeah, they're starting to just pick their poison, right? Give what the defense gives you, you take. If it's 3 yards here, if it's 5 yards here, take it. Take what they give you, march down the field, and that's how you know they're in full control of this offense, right? It's unconventional as to what they're used to, but it's working, so why change it?
Hansen stops his feet, and Hansen surrounded as he loses a couple yards. But for Dayton's offense that's been built on some bigger chunk type of plays throughout this afternoon, 234 rushing yards out of their 308 total from a variety of different ball carriers.
Yeah, they've had they knew that running the ball this game was going to be kind of crucial to the victory, that they want to get one, and so now they had different options to do, and they're executing it very well.
Man, Fleet is bottled up. Boyce Bankhead comes in to make the sack.
That's a good defensive stop right there. He was able to get pressure right there up the middle. He almost avoided attack right there, but then got a sack there. But if you're Presbyterian, you kind of want to now. Obviously, you want to bend but don't break. You're giving up some yards. You're on the field for longer than you anticipated. But now it's what do you do here, right? You punt or you field goal.
Dayton does bring out Logan Forcom in the punt team. Seen the Flyers fake it once already, but this time a coffin corner kick. Takes a Presbyterian hop that brings it outside the 10-yard line. Dayton touches it up at the 12. So for the Flyers, you had a chance again to really put your foot on the gas, but you do eat up almost half of the third quarter, and the ball is in Presbyterian's court for their first offensive drive of the third.
Yeah, you're excited about that opening drive, right? You're not, you wish you would have got points, but you can't score on every drive. But what you can do is instill confidence in your team that, hey, we can drive down the field. We're just 1 or 2 blocks away from really scoring, or we're 1 or 2 plays away from this. So that puts some pressure on Presbyterian to be like, hey, if we don't score, we can't really stop them.
Flag comes in as the snap was stopped.
False start. Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty. It remains first down.
And penalties have really stifled anything that Presbyterian could do
Please
late in
reset
that
the game
first
clock
half.
to 8 minutes, 28 seconds. 8 minutes and 28 seconds.
As that
Thank
first
you.
half went along, we saw them take more penalties, and that really helped Dayton out to pump up this lead a bit. Now they're behind the sticks to start their first drive of half 2. Handoff to Montgomery. And Dayton gets there.
Yeah, when you have penalties like they had this game, it just adds to the unfamiliarity, if you will, right? They're not familiar with it being in this position, being down, being punched in the mouth. They're used to if they give up the lead, they're used to quick striking and getting it back. But when you have a UD defense that's controlling them, it's kind of tough to see what your guys are, what they want to do in this situation. So this is a gut check right here for them.
Hurst again hands it off. Montgomery initially slipped free, but still third and pretty long coming up for the Blue Hose.
Yeah, this would be a huge stop right here for Dayton's defense. If you can get them out here, they get the penalty, push them back, and you get them out here, stop, and get another punt, right? And then when you talk about field position, if you get them to punt this drive, now you're going to be within your 40 or 50 yards line to start the second drive of the half. So that's that field position battle that you kind of think about. We're going to pooch punt here so we can pin them down and get ball back again.
3rd down and 5. Pressure coming, it's intercepted. Ferenzi again, his second house call of the year.
Oh, he read this all the way. He read this all the way. Such a great play call, great defensive call, great eyes, and great anticipation for this play. He read it the whole way. He read the quarterback's three-step drop. When you're in shotgun, you get it right there. He was able to read his eyes and break before he even threw it. Hurts never even seen him. He didn't even see him at all. He's not looking his way. He's able to undercut that. And when you're in that situation, the ball has to come out fast. Great play. That's a big play right there for them.
And the Flyers tack on the PAT. Dayton's defense has garnered some well-deserved spotlight this afternoon. Vincent Ferenzi has been an animal. 9 tackles to lead the team by a significant margin today, and his second pick 6 on this field this year.
Yeah, he's been flying around, and that's exciting. We see a guy like that make those type of plays. The team's excited. You can see him on the sideline. They're all excited. And this is a tell. You see the momentum, and you see just the demeanor on both teams' sidelines. You look at UD sideline, they're all excited. They're jumping around. They're patting each other on the back. There's a livelihood there. They got the momentum. And then you look across the field to Presbyterian sideline, it's not that much momentum going on. You can just see the demeanor is kind of down, and that's what you kind of want. So they look for them to try to do something to get the momentum back, right? Whether that's a big pass play on here, another flea flicker, or a double reverse pass, something, right, to try to change that momentum, because right now Dayton's controlling everything.
Kickoff is received inside the 5-yard line by Switzer, and he's got some blockers. Switzer with the afterburners to get past the 35-yard line. There's a Flyer down near the 30.
Yeah, you hate
Timeout
to see
on the
somebody
field
down.
for an injured defensive player.
Yeah, well, they attend to him. That's if you want to start fast, you got to start it on special teams, right? And trying to get a good kickoff returns, the first start of, okay, but there's no 14, 20-point play, right? It's what can we do here? What can we do on this play to make positive momentum? What can we do on this next play? So when you start to break it down by play, and then that's when, okay, you get yards, you get 5, 6 here, you get a big play there. But I would imagine, I wouldn't be surprised if they take a shot early in this drive, right? Just try to get some momentum. You had some success early going deep over the top. I wouldn't be surprised they do that now to try to just change things up.
This is the largest deficit Presbyterian has faced this year. They trailed by 21 in the first half against Furman in what was ultimately a thrilling overtime win. But again, just nothing like this, and Presbyterian team that started things off exactly how they wanted it to. They scored in 2 plays. They got the ball back, too, with a chance to make it a 2-score lead. Approached Flyer territory, but were unable to score. And since then, it's really been all Dayton. The injured party is Sam Mitchell, redshirt freshman from here in Dayton, played at Vandalia Butler High School. So he walks off with some assistance from the training staff. And Presbyterian begins this drive at their own 37-yard line.
Yeah, they had to get something going here. They had to get some big plays down the field. That UD has shown that they're flying around defensively and they're stopping kind of everything that they kind of throw at them. So they need to get some big gains.
Switzer on first down with a few yards.
And with them, you don't want to be in a position where you're kind of forced to do one thing, right? And so in the last play when he threw the interception, you kind of knew they had to throw the ball. So you can kind of anticipate that. So you can draw up a defense where guys are eyes on the quarterback and just breaking because you know it has to come out quickly. So you don't want to get in those situations again.
Keep it on the ground on second down. And Switzer pokes down the middle of the defense to get into Flyer territory.
Yeah, that was great play call, great penetration with a great push by the O-line to get them back in there. You know, O-line kind of chips off, 2 block, get to the linebacker, makes himself. But I think if you're UD as a defense, don't settle, don't get complacent, right? You've had some success. You just come off a pick 6. Still read your keys and still fly around, and don't think this game's just over just because you had a lot of success on a couple drives.
More second effort running from Zach Switzer. Presbyterians on the move as they pick up another first down.
Yeah, UD they were out of position there. They were out of position. The last 3 plays have been runs kind of in the same area, and so they see something right up the middle that either UD's not filling their gaps, and they only have 3 down linemen, so that means the linebackers have to fill the other gaps as possible that's there.
Montgomery carries this time. Dragged down after a mid-sized pickup.
Yeah, and that once again, that's the same area, right in the either front side or back side A gap. They're going right over the center, and that's where they see
Timeout
that they
for
have.
an injured offensive player.
Oh, we got another player down.
It's a lineman down for Presbyterian.
But yeah, they're seeing something on this drive where it's like, hey, let's just attack them right up the middle and let's get 5 to 7 yards each time.
It's the right tackle, Oscar Colon, IMG Academy alum from New York City. But again, for Presbyterian, they can score, but it's a multifaceted offense. They average 464 yards a game, 265 of that through the air, 199 on the ground. They're the second best third down converting team in the PFL. They're the third best fourth down converting team in the PFL. They just do everything right offensively. And again, we've seen it in bits and pieces, but it hasn't really gelled this afternoon like it has in all other games of the PFL slate for the Blue Hose. Still time. 2nd down and 5 as they return to the field following the injury timeout.
Yeah, they have such a great balanced attack, so it's so hard to defend when they're clicking on all cylinders.
Give it to Montgomery, and he bursts through the hole to get down to the 30. It sets up a 3rd down and a short 1.
Yeah, once again, they just chose this on this drive right here to attack right up the middle, right? They're going right up to both sides, front side, back side, A gap. They're pulling some linemen, making a different look. But when UD, they have 3 down linemen there, and you're going against 5 linemen and a fullback / tight end, the linebackers have to fill those extra gaps in order and then quickly to make a stop.
Montgomery got it, and a little more on the edge. Sam Schmiesing pulls him down by the belt.
Yeah, I mean, great play call. Once again, if it's not fixed, if it's not broke, why fix it, right? You keep coming back to it. You know you have a little time still on the clock. If you can get a score here, that gives yourself some confidence, brings you within a couple more points, and that's what you need. And you just any type of spark here for this offense will get them going. But if you're UD, you're like, hey, somebody has to step up, stop getting pushed back off the ball. Let's make a play.
Montgomery runs into a wall of red right at the 20-yard line. And Montgomery, the scoring back, 3 touchdowns last week. That was a career high. Scored a touchdown in a win over Dayton last season. Presbyterians won the last 2 meetings between these two teams. And they've done it mostly with a lot of defense. Dayton scored all kinds of points on them in the previous couple of meetings under Steve Englehart. They scored 50 or more in each of the previous 2 meetings, which were both Flyer wins prior to this most recent streak.
Oh, that's great.
Handoff to Antonio Wright. He stays on his feet, and Wright picks up the 1st down.
Yeah, there's something that I said it every time. I don't know what exactly it is. Here we go. Here's a replay. We can try to see what it is. Yeah, they're just getting penetrated. They're firing off the ball, and the linebackers are just overrunning on that play. You see him stop there, so he kind of got lost behind the lineman. But when you just kind of running up the middle, that's just mano-a-mano. Hey, our offensive line is stronger than your defensive line, and we're going to prove it. And if you're UD, you got to come back. You got to fight back and say, no, we're not having this anymore.
Right. Bounces it out wide, piled up after a pickup of 4.
And here goes UD right here. They're bringing in a different type of package on defense. They might go, looks like they might do 4 down linemen here just to stop that, what we was talking about. When you have 3 down linemen, it's just so hard, especially in the run, to defend the run because there's always an extra hat on you. So they can double team a nose and go up to the linebacker. But yeah, looks like they got 4 down linemen here. They're trying to put a stop to that.
Almost half of Presbyterian's rushing yards for the game have come on this drive. Hurst looking end zone, tight window, brought in Dominic Kibbe, touchdown Blue Hose. It's been a quiet afternoon for the 2-time first-team All-PFL selection Dominic Kibbe, but when they needed it most, a laser beam into a tight window from Colin Hurst. And Presbyterian's not going away just yet.
Yeah, no, a great play. They had set this play up the whole time, and it's no surprise that they called a passing play right when UD takes a DB out and put a lineman in to put 4 down linemen. So when you have 3 down linemen, you have an extra DB back there. When you do 4, somebody has to come off the field, and that opens up the passing game, right? So that was a great cat and mouse there, and he got exactly what he was looking for.
After the blocked PAT earlier on, Presbyterian readying to go for 2. This is a funky formation they've got going on. Hurst hands it off, and nowhere to go. Antonio Wright tripped and fell, and Dayton comes up with a big-time stop to keep Presbyterian down 16, and you see the reason why Steve Englehart wanted to do that. Now it's a 2-touchdown game, but you try to go for 2 here to make it 14. Now that you've missed, you need 2 touchdowns and 2 two-point conversions to get yourself even.
Yeah, that was one of those you kind of you trying to do a lot and throw everything at somebody, and kind of you confuse almost yourself in that kind of extra point, 2-point conversion. But yeah, that was the great throw and catch right there. They had a little post right there in the middle of the field, and once again, when when you're getting pushed back on the line of scrimmage with 3 down linemen, and you take a DB out to replace him with the lineman, you just open up that play right there for the pass. And so I would imagine they would kind of maybe switch that up a little sooner. This next drive when Presbyterian gets the ball back is not go that long with them with only 3 down linemen.
Dayton hung on to the football for around 7 minutes before ultimately giving it up. Their first drive of the half. Getting set to begin their second drive, and another big return for Leroy Lewis, who gets across the 30-yard line.
Yeah, that's been probably, in my opinion, one of the unsung heroes of this game has been the kickoff return team for UD, right? It's something that you really don't notice, and you just, they start the ball right now on the 35-yard line. But when you can consistently return the ball, get it over the 20, 25, 30-yard line, that just helps your offense out so much, even just to get in the field goal range. They don't have to go that far.
Return of 32 yards for Lewis. Flyers hand it to Hackett on first down, and the Blue Hose front wraps him up.
And it's starting to get a little bit more excited right here on their defensive side of the ball. The guys are clapping, guys are encouraging, because they understand what this drive means on both sides of the ball, right? If UD goes down there and kicks a field goal or scores, that just adds to the pressure of Presbyterian to kind of score quickly, right? And that adds to their offense and puts pressure on them to score fast. But if they can get a stop here and force a punt, that just opens up the game even more.
Hackett ran into a wall. He had a lot of speed and crashed into it at the 39-yard line. As much as we've talked about this Presbyterian offense, they can defend too. Allow less than 14 points a game. That leads the PFL. Lowest total yardage output against in the PFL.
Timeout for an injured offensive player.
Hackett is a little bit slow to get up for the Flyers. But a team that has really just done it everywhere. They lead the PFL in interceptions. They finally picked Dayton off. That hadn't happened all year until today. And so one of those teams that they're just so hard to scout because they do everything right. There aren't a lot of holes in what this team does, but credit to Trevor Andrews and his crew. They've figured out a recipe for success. Very important third down coming up for the PC defense as they try to get their offense back on the field before the third quarter comes to an end.
Yeah, when you have an offense and let's say a team, right, when you're on an 11-game winning streak, you do a lot of things well, right? You do a lot of things, and even to continue that in the off season and over the season and in summer training and in camp, and to start to get the season how they did, there's a lot of things that you do well. And you had to click on all facets. And this is a game right here where it's just certain things aren't happening how they would like it to, right? Whether it's the defense they have a great defense giving up some big plays or offense not scoring as much. But this is kind of a gut check drive right here for them.
They fake it to Laco, go down the field, and Verbancic makes a leaping grab.
Great play call there. He had him. He did the fake screen, and he had him right there. That's a wheel route. Great throw. Extremely great effort on the catch to reel that in. And that's what you want. You have time. You do a fake to kind of bring that safety and the stop the corner from bailing too fast, and it hit him right in the pocket.
That is the end of the third quarter.
Time to put up the fours. Flyer offense picks up a huge first down, and they try to again, put the hammer down late in this one. Dayton by 16 as we head to the fourth from Welcome Stadium. Finish on the other side of the break. Dayton picks up a crucial third down conversion right before the break, and now the Flyers have it in PC territory. Trying to bleed as much of this clock as they can, leading by 2 full possessions. Against a Presbyterian team that's the highest ranked squad from the Pioneer League since 2009. Ranked 16th by FCS coaches this week.
Yeah, well, you can see why they're so good, right? They show glimpses of that high, quick power offense, quick striking offense. Defense show glimpses of stopping everybody, but UD has just been wearing on them all game and been executing on a very high level.
Laco fakes it to Masseri. They follow him to the far boundary, and it's Carter Sidlowski sticking his nose in there as usual for the Presbyterian defense to set up a third down.
Yeah, he's flying around, and I said it earlier, right? I'm a big numbers guy, right? So when you have a D lineman with the single digit, you just know that he is that guy, and he is that guy for their defense. And so, but UD has done a great job of containing him as much as they can and not letting him disrupt everything like he usually does.
There are certain numbers, of course, by rule you can't wear if you're certain positions. There are
That's true.
certain numbers, just don't wear them unless you're that guy.
For sure.
Laco on third down. Motors ahead, he stopped short. We've seen Dayton go for this from around this spot. We've also seen Dayton go to the other side of the coin in this situation and try to pooch it inside the 10, but the Flyers rush the offense up as they try to get this snap off quickly.
Yeah, I think this is the make or break of the game right here. If they can get this, that just puts so much more pressure on them.
They throw it to the far side. Lubensky hung on and got the first down.
Great catch right there. Great catch, little tight end out, and that's all you want to do. Just tell him go to the sticks. Van Fleet, his job is throw it to the sticks right there. Just get 1 more yard than we need, and we can continue this drive and still milk this clock and put them in a tough position.
Just the 3rd catch of the year for Carson Lubensky. Member of a banged-up tight end room for Dayton that has seen a lot of different pieces switching in and out this year. That's a big catch to keep the drive alive.
Yeah, big time reception for your 3rd reception.
Henson on first down into the pile.
And what that does is that just relaxes UD even more, right? You had 2 big third downs that you completed and converted. So now you're in no rush. You can really take your time and milk this clock some more, knowing that even if you don't score, even if you get 3 points on the board or you don't, you're still leaving them with not that much time to score as many points as they need to.
Dayton has really put the pressure on Presbyterian all afternoon. Locko in again at quarterback. Keeps it himself. He ran into his left guard and lost some yardage. 3rd down and 9 coming up for the Flyers. Zachary McDowell, the O-lineman, got shoved back into his makeshift quarterback.
Yeah, once that just goes to Presbyterian's defensive line. They do get penetration. They do get to push the offensive lineman back, but UD, sometimes you can kind of get a little too quick and not let your guys kind of get set in the blocking after you call high cry. You got to give them time to get to their positions and blocking. But I think they're going to kind of bring something out here unconventional, try to get this first down.
Locko makes the catch. He is short of the first down. An acrobatic grab from Dayton's do-it-all man this afternoon.
Yeah, he's had a heck of a game. He's been everywhere. He's been getting the ball at quarterback, running it, throwing it, receiving it. So he's their glue to this game right here. And that's, like I said, I don't think that's a hateful drive. I think you count this drive as a win. Check box, eat up some clock, get a chance for a field goal.
This is a career-long attempt for a guy who, again, just won the job last week. Redshirt freshman Trevor Hinkle, 1 for 1, hit a 37-yarder last week. This is from 41. Looked like the laces were facing him there, and he pushes that wide right.
Yeah, it just looked like he never got comfortable and had a good kick on that one. But once again, regardless of that play that right there, and then unfortunately they didn't convert on the field goal, but if you're UD, you're not mad at that drive, right? You ate up some clock, you had some positive yards. Now you put your defense, everybody's been flying around on defense, right? They've been able to control a high-powered offense and limit them to only 19 points. So trust your defense here in this situation to get the ball back and, give you another chance to put the game away.
Presbyterian back to it offensively after one of their better drives of the game. They handed it off to Zach Switzer and a chunk run on first down.
Yeah, and they're coming right back to what they had success in last drive, right up the middle, right up the A-gap, taking on the nose. And when you're in a 3-4 defense like UD is, like I said, that nose guard, man in the middle, is so important for him to be gap sound and take up 2 blockers, right? He's had a 2-gap. And if you get any type of movement there, it just makes it so hard for the defense to stop him.
Play fake, eyes downfield for Hurst. Throws on the run. And a strike in there to Jalen Patrick for a first down.
Yeah, great play call there. Get the run fake, get the linebackers, because you have run it a lot in the last 2 drives. You do a little play fake here, get the linebackers to come down a little bit, and you're able to hit it right over the top of their head in the flat area there.
71% through the air for Colin Hurst this afternoon. Switzer, trying to get to the second level.
Yeah, coming right back to that. That's just their MO. This quarter is just run right up the middle, run right at their nose guard, and try to make them get 5 to 7 yards and just be happy with that.
Under 9 to play. Switzer again. With blockers, he's got the first down.
Yeah, it's hard to say, why they're running it when they're down as much as they are. But if you're getting 5 to 7 yards, that's just as good as any completion, right? If you're getting 5 to 7 yards each time, you'll take that because the goal is to score, right?
This time they go backwards as Dayton gets up on the ball. Combo effort for the Flyers. Brandon Martin in there for UD. along with Gus Damon.
Yeah, they had enough of that. There's like, you're going to keep running at us. We're going to make a stand right here. We're going to get off this field, and we're going to make it hard for you to do that. And that's what you want, though. Sometimes, you just kind of, they run at you. They think they see a weakness, and you got to stand up and say, no, we're not allowing that anymore.
Engelhardt, play action. Running for his life, and it's incomplete, but a late flag came in after Elliott Braun laid a hit on the quarterback, and this might be a gift for the Presbyterian offense.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 23. Contact below the knees, 15-yard penalty, and an automatic first down.
Yeah, that's one of those. You love the effort, but you just got to tell him, just be a little smarter on this play, right? You're rolling out, you're chasing the quarterback, and you know you can't hit him low, and you know he's trying to get rid of it. And sometimes you just want to put hands on him to let them know, hey, I'm here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in your vicinity, but sometimes that just goes a little bit too far. You get that penalty call.
Fresh set of downs for Hurst. He throws a jump ball to the middle of the field. It's picked off. Bennett Lawrence on the interception.
That's that bend but don't break. UD gets back there. They get penetration in on Hurts. He tries to step up and throw, and it looks like he got the ball hit. And that once it's in the air, it's anybody's ball. And they had UD had enough defenders back there for somebody to make a play, and that was a great. Yeah, you get penetration right up here in the middle. Yep, you get 93 coming around that edge, and he's able to get the back end of the ball, and the ball gets fluttered up. And that's such a great defensive play and timely play right there by UD's defense.
Beg your pardon, that was Mac Grant on the interception, the safety for UD. And they come up with another turnover. Third time Hurst has been intercepted this afternoon, I should say. Only had 5 interceptions coming in all season.
Yeah, University of Dayton's defense, they are playing so well. And they accepted the challenge, right? When you lose a tough game to Butler last week, as a defensive coordinator, you're challenging your guys. Hey, they're coming in here. Everybody's talking about how good an offense they are. Everybody's talking about how many points they score. This is a challenge to you to step up and make plays, and that's exactly what they've done all game.
Flyers hand it off, and Presbyterian stacks it up, and it's a little bit fitting in the game where Dayton finally throws that first interception this year. They flip it around on the opponent and do it 3 times. Flyers still have not lost the turnover battle in a game this season.
Yeah, when you can win that battle, it just makes it so hard to beat you, because you're not giving them extra possessions, right? You're not giving them extra times with the ball. They're getting what they get, and you're not really putting your defense in bad positions in short fields.
Keep it on the ground with Hansen. And he's stopped around the 22-yard line. This is 4th down for Dayton, as they'll surely punt here. Now the punt unit comes out.
Yeah, even if you're Dayton, you're not too mad. You would like to, get a first down and continue this drive and put more, push them back more in the field. But as many times you trust your defense. Your defense is balling out right now. They're flying around. They're making plays. You're getting interceptions. You're getting tackles for loss. So trust them, right? You don't have to force anything right here. You're up. Let the game play out how it's already been.
This is a booming kick. Dariel Harper runs up to grab it at the 38-yard line. And he's got an acceleration across the 50-yard line. Flyer fans wanted a block in the back right next to him. That was what opened up that huge hole, as Luke Mitchell was there for Dayton but got blocked. And Presbyterian set up with very good field position here to start the drive from the 41, but it's an uphill climb down 16.
Yeah, they're down 16. That was close to being a block, of holding or blocking it back with that return. But yeah, there's an uphill battle, and they're going to try to. Now they don't have enough time to really mess around. They have to throw the ball. They have to get yards, but that plays right into what UD wants you to do. Their DBs have been playing well all game. They know what it is. They know what you're trying to do, and you got to try to beat them.
Montgomery on first down picks up 8. Tempo picking up a little bit for Presbyterian. They snap it still with 28 on the play clock. Quick hitter for Jaden Scott. He curls it to the far side and picks up the first down.
Yeah, you want to try to stop the clock as much as possible. So whether that's first downs or whether that's getting the ball out of bounds right away, you want to try to stop the clock as much as you can and have many opportunities to score.
First reception for the Charleston Southern transfer Jaden Scott today. Jump throw in traffic. It sneaks through to Kibbe. He's forced near the sideline, but Dayton keeps him in bounds.
That's a great tackle, really smart tackle, because a lot of times people get close to the sideline and they just try to push somebody out of bounds, right, instead of do a nice form tackle. But he was able to get a nice form tackle, keep him in bounds, keep that clock running.
Ferenzi on the stop for the Flyers, who's likely the team MVP when this is all said and done. Montgomery squirts through. He thinks he's still up. Presbyterian sideline thinks he is too. No real signal. The only one to really take charge was the line judge on the near sideline who said that he was down. He did get the first
Ruling
down.
on the field that the ball carrier was down.
But even with that, they still ran some time off the clock, though. Even though it stopped, but it was still, they ran a couple seconds off. So you have to score.
Hurst steps up. Hurst flushed. Hurst goes down. Brandon Martin with the sack.
Great defensive stand right there. That's what you want to see. They're probably going to call it timeout. But, yeah, he got penetration. He was able to bend the edge. And as a defensive end, when you get above the quarterback, they tell you to stop, put your foot in the ground, and come back downfield. He got it higher than the quarterback
Timeout
there.
Presbyterian. Their first timeout of the half. Will the game clock operator please reset the game clock to 3 minutes, 35 seconds. 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought they saw some clock time running off. But, no, that's a great play. You taught them to retrace your steps, right? If you're a DN, you get up the field and the quarterback steps up, that you're going to try normally to run right where you were because there's a gap there. So if you could just retrace your steps, you get a nice sack and the quarterback don't even see it coming.
Brandon Martin, a guy that Trevor Andrews has said he hopes he can just keep him on his course. It can be a little difficult, he said, to keep those guys centered when they've had as much success early on in his career. Martin played at Powerhouse Moeller High School. He holds the all-time sacks record there down in Cincinnati.
And there he goes again.
And he's right there again.
There he goes again, right? Sometimes when you're feeling it, you're feeling it. Some drives are just yours, and seems like it's his drive to make a big impact. But yeah, when you have that success you had in high school, you have it early. It's tough to kind of, as a coach, to say, okay, listen, you still have to stick to the process, right? You still have to stick to everything we're talking about. I know you're good. I know you're excellent at what you do, but we still have a game plan that we have to fit you into.
Second year as a Flyer for Martin. Played 5 games last season. Hurst whips it end zone. Broke it up. Seatbelt coverage. Tayron Spencer rejects that.
Great coverage, and Hurst had the time. The offensive line did a great job, but that's just such a good coverage right there. The sideline is your friend on that situation. Force them to the sideline and keep. But here you go. This is the game right here. UD's feeling it. The crowd's involved. The sideline's hype. This is what you love about college football.
4th down and 12. A must get for Presbyterian. Flyers rush 3. Pressure coming. Hurst to the end zone. Incomplete. Cam Cope on the coverage. They were looking for the tight end, Nathan Levicki. And that should all but seal it for what's going to be a signature win for Trevor Andrews and the Flyers.
Yeah, great coverage right here by Cope. He sees the tight end. Tight end kind of runs a wheel route, little out and up, and he's there. He gets his eyes back in time, gets his hand on the ball. You know, force him to the sideline. You know you have the back of the end zone as another defender, so you can just stay underneath and make a play, get your eyes around, and that's exactly what he did. Great way to step up right there with Cope.
The Flyer offense returns to the field. They just need a first down.
And why
Wacko
not?
spins it, stumbles, and he picked it up. They give him the 29, say move the chains.
Why not? He's been carrying you all game. He's been the guy that you called on all game.
Timeout on the
big
field for an
plays.
injured defensive player.
It's only fitting that he's the guy that gets the first down to kind of seal the game.
Alejandro Tovar, one of the interior linemen for Presbyterian, is down. But yeah, can't say enough about what Laco did. 4 receptions, 41 yards, 16 rushing attempts. He's Dayton's leading rusher with 108 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Averaged 6.8 yards per carry. He had the big 79-yard run on the 3rd and long. And that one play, now that you can harken all the way back to it, that was really what flipped the game in Dayton's favor.
Yeah, that's that one play. And once again, we just talk about, man, like they showing this new Wildcat package. Why are they doing it 3 times in a row? They just got stopped twice in a row. You know what I mean? It's 3rd down. But he was able to break free. But that's coaching and that's trusting your guys, right? And so you don't go away from what you know will work. It's just a matter of time before it does. And that's what they was able to do. And they just stepped to it. But he's had one of the best games I've seen in a while from an individual standpoint.
Dayton eclipsed their season average, rushing for 142 yards last week, but felt like they got stuffed on some important drives. The O-line said they wanted to do a better job with run blocking this week. I think 257 yards will do the job.
Timeout on the field. Presbyterian, their second timeout of the half.
So Presbyterian calls the timeout to keep us outside the 2-minute timeout. That means Dayton has to get one more first down in all likelihood to seal it up. So for Presbyterian, this joyride that's been a year and a half is likely going to come to an end this afternoon after having won 11 straight. All is not lost for this Blue Hose team who, again, just dropped their first game in the Pioneer League, but they now will need some help as there's another unbeaten that they won't play this year. Drake, still undefeated. They're the Flyers' next home opponent coming up in a few weeks' time. Laco again picks up 10 yards, 11 yards. Just keep walking it up the sideline. First down.
Keep it going. But, yeah, you're right. The season's not by nowhere, shape, or form over for them. It's just a small little setback. But sometimes when you have a lot of success and you're on a win streak, sometimes a loss like this reboots you, right? It just recenters everybody. Sometimes people can get ahead of themselves and start looking at playoff predictions, start looking at championship stuff, and instead of just saying, no, we got this game right now. We got to go 1-0 this week.
This is the 2-minute timeout.
Brings us to the 2-minute timeout.
But yeah, no, they're an extremely talented team. They're well coached. This is just a minor setback, like I said earlier, and that's one that, as a coach, if you're going to take a loss, you wanted. I would say this: if I was a coach, I would want it in this situation, right, where hey, we still have some football left. We played a really good team in Dayton. They just outplayed us. They outperformed us. But we still have all the goals we won in the season. We still have at our fingertips. We just have to take control of that. And UD, this is a huge win. I mean, this is everything you kind of played for. This is how good you can play if you just put everything together.
Schedule does lighten up a good bit for Presbyterian the rest of the way. Valparaiso, Davidson, St. Thomas, and Marist left on the schedule. These include two of the teams currently sitting in the basement of the conference. For Dayton, it is quite the opposite, although the Flyers have put themselves right back in the PFL championship conversation with this result here this afternoon. Stetson calls their final timeout.
Timeout, Presbyterian. This is their third and final timeout. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Presbyterian, rather, calls the final timeout. And again, that forces Dayton to get one more first down to truly put this one to bed. But for the Flyers, they go to preseason favorite San Diego next week, which is always a tough trip, having to go all the way across the country. That's a 4 o'clock Eastern time start. The Toreros were the preseason favorites to win the league for the first time since 2019 this year. But after a ranked win in week 1, they have struggled. They're off to a 1-2 start in conference play. San Diego taking on Davidson right now as we speak, a Wildcats team that has struggled under a new coaching staff this year. But for the Flyers, following that game against San Diego, home against the Drake Bulldogs, who are the defending champions, picked to finish second in the conference. They're currently unbeaten in the PFL. And then they will wrap up the slate on the road at Davidson down in North Carolina. Wrap up the regular season. Laco picks up the first down. That'll seal it. The Flyers can get to the best formation in football to pick up their 6th win of the season. And a marquee one at that against a ranked Presbyterian squad.
Yeah, such a great win, such a great victory. This is something that you can hang your hat on kind of as a season. Okay, this is what we're capable of doing, right? If we play how we can play, how we know we can play, we're capable of doing this, and this is exactly what that is.
So for the Flyers, you're still a game behind Drake, but you've got them coming up on the schedule. So you've now put your fate pretty much back into your hands when it comes to the PFL championship conversation. And like we said, Presbyterian by all means not out of it, but now they're Flyer fans the rest of the way, hoping they can take down the Bulldogs in a couple weeks' time. But you figure there was going to be, with as much turnover and as many new head coaches in the league this year, it was going to be pretty wide open, and that has proven to be the case.
Yeah, most definitely. And that's one of the things that you want. Like I said, as a coach, you want to have a signature win on a season, and this is what it is for University of Dayton. You just hope that they take this as, hey, we can be this good, right, and not go to San Diego and have a down week because you just beat, one of the top teams. So it'll be good to see how they rebound next week after this big win.
Dayton picks up their first ranked win since the season opener in 2019. They beat 14th ranked Indiana State a half dozen years ago to kick off an 8-win campaign. The Flyers get arguably their biggest win of the Trevor Andrews era this afternoon, as they jump right back into contention for a PFL crown with 3 games remaining on the schedule. After a difficult start on their first defensive drive, Dayton executed their game plan to a T, and really shocking how dominant this Flyers team was on their home field.
Yeah, they dominated every facet of the game. Special teams, they was getting 15, 20 yards on each kick return. Defense stepped up in big plays. Offense stepped up, made big plays. So once again, that's what this UD team is capable of if they really just lock in, execute what the coach's game plan is, and that's promising for the next couple games down the season.
Dayton takes down number 16 Presbyterian 35-19 on this October afternoon from the Gem City. That's going to wrap things up for us. We've got one more broadcast for you here this season, at least in the regular season, as the Dayton Flyers will take on the Drake Bulldogs. That game coming up in a few weeks' time on November 15th. San Diego next week, a bye the week after for the Flyers, who improved to 6-2 and 4-1 in the PFL. Not going to want to miss this final month of the season in the Pioneer League. It's going to be a good one. But for now, we say so long. For Josh Copeland, my partner, Scott Helton and Ken Kreitzer leading our great production crew here at the University of Dayton, I'm Luke Westpoli signing off. A massive signature win for Trevor Andrews and the Flyers, and we'll talk to you next time from Will.